He's done all this stuff like duct taping people and like cutting all their clothes off and stuff, and he gets a call, and it's just like, hey, you know, the actress is ready to get picked up at the airport because she's coming on audition for Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. So he goes and picks her up in like this creepy fucking van that must, with all the fucking bloody bodies he's putting in, must smell like blood. But the actress is just sitting there going, oh yeah, I'm so excited to audition for Quentin Tarantino. I'm so excited. And then she starts, best line in the whole movie, she says with a straight face, you know, the thing that drew me to Human Centipede was its medical accuracy. What? That doesn't make any sense. He takes her to like an abandoned warehouse with one shitty-ass car outside. Second best line in the whole movie. That must be Quentin's car. Yes. Because Quentin Tarantino, very well-respected and famous director, is gonna drive this shitty-ass car, and is gonna be giving auditions, alone, in an abandoned fucking warehouse, without any type of security outside. Oh God, you deserve, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, survival of the fittest. She goes inside, and like, he turns on the light, and she's like, well, fuck, this is not Quentin Tarantino. So he, like, clubs her, I think. So he's got all his pieces. I'm just gonna say he has all his pieces. At this point, you're kind of, like, feeling a little icky. You feel, like, icky from watching, but you don't feel, like, gross. Change. Time to start making the Human Centipede. He has just watched this movie and be like, well, this is medically accurate. He starts by taking his neighbor guy. And he's like, because in the first movie, they take out the teeth and the tongue. And then they like cut, I guess, like this, and then they cut the butt so it just like goes over like that. Clearly, he's not a doctor, and so he's like, let's see, what do I get rid of teeth with? Hammer. And then he like turned him over and started cutting his butt, and like he draws like these beautiful lines. He's like, I gotta make sure this is straight. This is what I learned from the movie. And so he starts cutting this guy's butt, and like automatically, like, not a doctor. Guy bleeds to death, goes into shock, dies, and he's like, oh, this is sad. Okay. Pregnant chick dies. She doesn't even fucking have duct tape. She's just laying there holding her stomach, and you see her more than once, like, in this warehouse, when you know that this guy's been gone. And she's like, oh. Naked doesn't mean that you can't move. Does she not realize that? That clothes do not give you the ability to move? She dies somehow. Then he realizes, like, fuck, I can't cut into people's butts. And so, he's just like, hey, yeah, fuck it, he just starts, like, literally stapling people's mouths to, like well, staples. Like, he's like, okay, staple. And you're like, God, oh my God. He finishes, I guess, and luckily the actress is, lucky for us, she's A, but don't worry, she doesn't have any more lines except, They walk in this circle around him, and he just kind of goes, he just looks really excited, like, my hobby paid off! He puts a dish, and he's so, the look on his face, it's just, it makes you laugh, because he's just like, he like, puts the dish by her, and he's like, yeah, and then he puts, I don't know, beans, dog food, I don't know what the shit he puts in it, but he's like, yeah, and he's like, yeah, it's for you, pretty much, and it's to his eyes. His eyes tell you the whole story. Fuck this! And, you know, I'm an actress. I'm a well-respected actress. So he pulls out this, like, funnel, this long-ass tube, and, like, shoves it down her, like, all the fucking, I'm pretty sure you would fucking damage someone by doing this, by not being a doctor and doing this. Shoves it all the way down the throat, and, like, pours, like, some type of, like, milk or, like, breakfast shake in it, and she's, like, gagging. And he wants to make sure that the digestive tract goes through all of them. And so he fucking just gets, like, a needle out and, like, a thing of, like, laxatives, and, like, he's like, alright. And gives laxatives each of them in their butt, which, you know, Human Centipede, medically sound. And then they all, like, in unison, this is the part, like, at this point you feel far gone from icky, like, you feel gross. But, you know, you could be worse. Yeah, you reached that point at this point. Everything in this movie is black and white. Except the goddamn shit. The shit is brown. And, Does he think that the director thinks like, well, they might think it's blood coming out of their butts? I'm like, no, okay, I'm sorry that I'm not as medically sound as this movie, but I know that the shit comes out of your butt. It's just people like shitting into other people's mouths, and since he wasn't as medically accurate as the first one, it's going everywhere. One of the guys like, oh, fuck this, and just kind of like, I'm done. He just get a call, he might get it now, but it says like, oh, the 2 other actors really want to audition for Quentin Tarantino, I hope it's not too late, and you're like, oh man, you missed out. Oh, there are 2 Centipedes now, and they've ruined everything, and so he literally just takes the next minute and goes and shoots, which, for a guy, in a parking lot, like, at least 50 feet away, was just able to go bang, bang through a window and get them perfectly where he wanted them to go. Now have to like aim at them as he's standing like a foot away from them. The pregnant woman who you think is dead, like slowly there, she's like, oh, I'm actually alive. She like gets up and she just screams, goes, ah, and she runs out, and you're like, wow, good way to be stealthy. She gets in the car and she locks the door, and he's like, no, let me in, and she's trying to get the car to work. He can't fucking get in the car. Like, his main attempts on trying to crowbar the window, like break the glass. Yes, she like has the baby. The baby like slides out and is alive. Well, is alive for the moment, and then slides under the gas pedal instead of the mom being like, because you know motherly instinct isn't real, being like, oh, my baby's still alive, I should move it because this guy isn't fucking getting into the car. I'll just step on the gas so I can back up really quick, squishing her baby's head, killing the baby. She's fucking gone. That first strain is like in the corner like that. The first strain that has the actress at the front is like going toward the lights. And they're going toward the lights and they're like, oh no, she's reaching. And they're like, oh, what's she gonna do? She gets lights, and well, I guess because everything is scarier in the dark. Then he just finds the lights and turns them on and just goes, good job, actress, you did so much. Shoots halfway through them, and then he's like, oh, fuck, I'm out of bullets. So he just takes the knife and starts like sawing their necks, because, you know, medically sound. Gets to the actress and he's like, oh, I really like you. Well, he didn't say that. Eyes. Oh, another thing I forgot. The mom just fucking, like, after she stabs him to death, before she leaves, well, not him, but stabs his pillow to death, and he goes and lays down, like, before she leaves, she's just like, and she slits her wrist, and you're like, okay, goodbye, mom. But no, she's not even fazed by it. She just walks out, and she comes back, and, like, she's flipping through the scrapbook. Your failure at making children, your failure at finding a husband that isn't a child molester, and your failure at killing yourself. Kicks him in the walls. He's like, oh yeah. She's like, yeah. It's like, oh, it's hurt. And she goes and she like grabs the big tube with the funnel, and she like sticks it in his ass, and then I don't know where the fuck she got the centipede from, but she gets the centipede and like, oh, it's real. She throws it in, and it's like boop, in your butt now. And she just like pulls it out, and at that point he turns around and like stabs her, and then he's like, oh, and like, oh, God, the sounds in this movie are so terrible. Like, the sound effects, like, you can hear the bug, and you're like, I'm pretty sure you can't hear it through all that. So, she's dead. She dies, because he, like, slits her in the throat, and she's dead. And he, like, no, it fades out, and so you're like, oh, okay, this is the end of the movie. Like, everybody is dead, and you probably supposed to be dead. But no, it ends up that you just see that the guy is sitting there, like, working back at work, and you're like, and then it goes to credits, and you're like, oh, so it's supposed to be like he's still out there, we could have another movie. The only person who survives this fucking movie is the woman who fucking kills her baby by smashing its head with her foot. Just stop. Just no, there's no point anymore. The only reason anybody watched your movie to begin with, because they thought it was ridiculous. It's like if Tommy Wiseau came out and said he was making The Room too. Like, actually, I might enjoy that. Okay, final verdict. I am a huge horror fan, and this movie was just poorly paced. The only, like, decent actor in it was the creepy guy, and I'm almost convinced that he was just being himself. And everyone else is just terrible. All the actors in it are terrible. Story? Terrible. The fact that I saw it last night and I still can't remember exactly the order of events is like the major order of events for your movie, it's probably not a good sign. Very repetitive. The characters all blend together. The best thing, oh, this is really weird to say. I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for it, but I think the concept for the movie wasn't bad. I think the concept of someone that sees a really gross movie like Human Centipede and just is crazy enough to be like, well, that could work in real life, and does it? Like, I don't think that's not a bad concept. That sounds rather interesting. But when you have a character that isn't complex, that you're trying to make complex, but you never delve into the character enough to tell anything about the character other than that he's creepy and crazy. Like, you don't give any redeeming qualities to him. You can't just surround him with terrible people and be like, that'll make him look better. No, it won't. Unless you give him a redeeming quality, we're not going to like him. And I think that's where a lot of the good villains come from, is that people like them. People like Freddy. People like Jason. People like Hannibal Lecter.
This is from another day, because obviously I'm not wearing the same thing. I just didn't change because I thought the fact was more important. But when the director, Tom Six, was auditioning the main actor, Lawrence, he pretty much, I'm not sure if he had him do it or if the actor decided, but pretty much Lawrence, the guy who plays the main creepy guy, raped a chair. So
I will see you later. There's a movie on Netflix. It's called Taint Light, and it's this vampire parody of Twilight, and it is made by what seemed like high schoolers. This movie was so terrible. 2 minutes into it, we had to turn it off, and I just turned to Kevin and Chris, and I was like, the Human Centipede 2 was so much better than that movie.